Well, the one I don't like to talk about is the cow, because I grew up in Kansas, so my mother was offended because on both sides of my family I have farmers, so we don't talk about the cow one very much. But probably either the first one, because the first one was kind of what really got my nickname over, and people think that my nickname is something I use out of vanity or out of ego. But when your name is Jonathan Coachman, it's hard to say. It's three syllables, and in broadcasting, you want stuff that rolls off the tongue, but also it sounds much cooler than Jonathan Coachman. So that first night, and like I said, I'd known him for 4 or 5 months, so probably the first one, and I walked into the room, and anybody that knows The Rock now knows that Brian Gerwitz was his personal writer. He now runs all of his stuff for $7 Production. And they said, hey, we got an idea. And this to me is a story that encapsulates what The Rock is all about. And even though he has a huge ego, and who wouldn't if you're The Rock, but he also is trying to think, how can he get everybody else over? Because if you get everybody else over, you're going to get yourself over. And so he said, we got an idea. Because this is at the time where he was telling anybody in every interview, it doesn't matter what your name is. It doesn't matter this. It doesn't matter that. And he says, you're brand new to the audience, so why don't you start by asking me a question as if we know each other, and I'll say, wait a second, who are you? And then you don't answer, because we don't want the people to think that you're stupid, because if you watch The Rock, you knew he was going to do that. So he goes, and then say, it's okay, you can tell The Rock. And I said, well, Rock, my name is Jonathan Coachman, but everybody calls me the coach. And then he proceeded to say, the coach of what? The coach of a little girl's softball team, the coach of this, the coach of that. And he said my name like 5, 6, 7 times. And then at the end of the interview, so he just flipped it. He said, so why do they call you the coach, though? And now I'm comfortable. And I go, well, it doesn't matter why they call you, right? So people laughed. And we always had to do his interviews, even though it was on SmackDown and it was taped. We had to do his live because of the interaction with the crowd. And so we walked out of the building that night. And it's still my favorite building in the world, probably because of that night, the Allstate Arena in Chicago. And all the fans that go to the back and they wait to see you, everybody's yelling, coach, 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 coach. And he didn't have to do that. He didn't have to get my nickname over. And from that night on, every single show that I've ever been on, including SportsCenter, and that got me in some trouble at ESPN, I said, hey, welcome everybody. I'm the coach. This is whoever, because that's who I am. I'm the coach. And I've never been Jonathan Coachman professionally, and I want to keep it that way. And people I work with now, even the PGA Tour, they understand that. They get that. And they understand we can't be normal when you're trying to stick out and make people understand who you are and what you're about. So probably that first one. And the second one would be WrestleMania 18, that I will say to this day is the single greatest hour of pro wrestling and sports entertainment in the history of sports entertainment. And I know there's been a lot of great ones, but it's one of 2 or 3 times that I can remember. And the other one is Triple H's return at Madison Square Garden, that I actually walked out onto the floor to watch it with my own 2 eyes and to know the greatness of The Rock. And Hogan had nothing to do with this. And I don't mind Hogan. He's just not my favorite person. I mean, we get along, but we've never been friends. But to watch them work for a week and put this match together, these 2 mega powers in the sport of wrestling from 2 different generations, and then to watch the crowd turn and not do what we expected them to do, and then to have The Rock be smart enough to change it while they were standing in the ring, and people thought they were talking trash to each other. And in reality, The Rock was changing it, because there's certain things you can do as a babyface that you can't do as a heel, and certain things you can do as a heel that you can't do as a babyface. So to watch that brilliance in that moment that was not too big for him, because a lot of people don't understand when you're on national worldwide television, the red light's on, there's 80,000 people there, and there's millions watching at home. That can be overwhelming from an anxiety perspective, nerves, and only a few people can really handle it. And for The Rock to be in the moment and to hear and to understand and to feel and to be able to change it was nothing short of remarkable. And the show should have ended right there. Many people forget that Triple H and Chris Jericho still went on after them. And I think they would even tell you that the show should have ended there. But that was the most remarkable hour that I've ever seen. And to be a part of it just moments before with The Rock and to put together the interview that we did People say to me all the time, I'll be walking through airports every now and then, like, hey, what up, G? So it's kind of cool for sure.